Hi, and welcome to Celebration Bar Review. We are just about 85 days away until the bar exam right now. That's pretty exciting. Um, we're getting inexorably closer. And at this point, with about 85 days until your bar exam, you are generally beginning to get to the point where bar results are coming out from the previous exam in a lot of jurisdictions. Now, this is always different from exam to exam, but let me just say that as I'm recording today, the results have come out from a number of jurisdictions. The results, while they're very difficult across the country, and we see lower pass rates nationally than we've ever seen, I'm really proud of the fact that our students continue to outperform those averages, and we have great success stories. And I invite you to check out those success stories on our website. If you go to celebrationbarreview.com, you'll see a section called Case Studies. I interview a lot of those students, and a lot of them write comments for us. And so, congratulations to everyone who's passed, and be sure to check those out. Now, for those of you who are still in law school, if you're watching during that season of your life and you're about to go through your graduation ceremonies, congratulations to you as well. And once you're done with that, then obviously you're going to be jumping into your bar review preparation. But I want to encourage you, even if you're still in law school, you should be studying right now. You should be putting in some hours for all the reasons that we've been talking about as we've been doing this countdown. Now, as we think about the bar exam being 85 days away or so, I'm about ready to get on the road for one of our semi-annual pre-exam craziness vacations. And getting on the road reminds me, as many things do, I guess, of when my kids were younger. And one of the things that I foolishly agreed to do, and I say foolishly because it didn't last very long, was that I agreed to teach my children how to drive the car. Now, you have to understand that I'm a car guy. I love cars, really love cars. Probably not as much as I love football, but really close. And to me, driving a car is one of the great joys of all time. Teaching your kids to drive a car, not so much. Now, my children, who are now adults, are wonderful. They're brilliant. They're scholars. They're pillars of their communities. They are awesome people. But when they were 15 and a half years old, they were really lousy drivers. Don't tell them. And while I fancy myself being a pretty good teacher, I am definitely not a good driver's ed teacher. Oh my gosh, what a terrible job. In fact, if you gave me careers I would not like to have, I think driver's ed would be right next to a TSA person at the airport. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, those two, not a good combination. In any event, as I was thinking back to the driving lessons that I gave to my son and my daughter when they were learning to drive, it reminded me a little bit of the quandary that a lot of people are in at this point in their studies for the bar exam. One of the challenges for a young driver is learning how to balance what you way out on the horizon with what's right in front of you on the road. Now, there's a tendency to look right in front of you, right down at the gauges, and you can forget as a new driver that there's a road out there filled with people and objects and all sorts of opportunities for mayhem, as they say. At the same time, when you say calmly and quietly, look ahead, look out there, or just look out because you're about to hit something, and suddenly they slam on the brakes. They forget everything that's up close. So it's an either or proposition. Now, that's an interesting experience. And for those of you that have yet to have that thrill as a parent, let me just tell you two words: hire somebody. Okay. In any event, the quandary for a bar student is really very much the same, I think, because right now at this stage, you have to balance looking down the road 80 some days with what you're doing right now in your studies. And I tend to find that people vary at either end of the extremes here. I have those people who are so focused on results at this point, though right on the road at this moment, that's all they can think about. Virtually every contact with that kind of student is prefaced or predicated or finished with something like, is this passing? Here's the reality. It doesn't have to be passing when you're 85 days away from the exam. In fact, in most cases, it won't be passing, and that's all right because you're really just learning how to do something that's new. And this sort of innate over-focusing on results at this stage, I've found to be counterproductive. It won't help you. In fact, it's discouraging when you hear or you realize that your work may not be passing. And if you expect it to be that way today, then that's really going to be discouraging for you. So there's no real reason to expect that level of quality right now. And even if you've been studying for several months, I would say it's not necessary to be doing passing work at this stage. What should you be doing? I think the better question is, are you improving? Are you able to see growth from where you started in the process, whether it was a few days ago or a few weeks or a few months ago? And for most people, certainly those who are in our course, the answer to that is very clearly, yes, I can see improvement. Now, on the other extreme, We've got the people who literally won't take their foot off the brake. Oh, these folks make me nuts. They're so afraid of getting on the bar exam metaphorical highway that they simply procrastinate. And procrastination right now is a problem. And I want to be clear. There are those people who've been in school and perhaps they're waiting to graduate and they start their studies. That might describe you. That's not really procrastination. That's just survival. And I get it. But if you're not in that category, if you're someone who has the opportunity to study, you've gotten your materials, let's say, or you're thinking about starting to study, or you're thinking about signing up with a bar review course, and you're just thinking about it and you haven't gotten around to doing it, well, now's the time to take your foot off the brake. You've got to accelerate or you're going to get rear-ended. That's the truth. And if you don't do that, you're not going to be giving yourself enough time to get through the body of material. Look, it takes about 300 hours to prepare for the bar exam. That's a real number based on working with thousands of people all across the country for 25 years. When somebody tells you 600 hours, that's nuts. If somebody tells you 50 or 100 hours, that's also nuts. Don't believe that. 300 hours is a good, solid number. But if you're going to get to 300 hours with 85 days to go, you can do the math. It's a little more than 3 hours a day. So you need to give yourself the time to study. And if you don't get started, you're just not going to have that time. Now, any person or any course that tells you that you can study and be ready for this test if you only spend 6 or 7 weeks in study, you know what? They're just full of it. It doesn't happen. It doesn't work. And we're seeing the results of that empirically. The courses that tell you to do that have pass rates that are below 50% overall. And so how great is that plan? I would say it's not very good. Maybe great marketing, but it's not great teaching. And I can't be more emphatic about that. The bar examiners around the country are writing tests today that are not amenable to learning the material in a 6-week crank course. It's not successful. So you cannot afford to procrastinate. It's that simple. And you're kidding yourself if you think you're going to be able to do that. Now, when I talk to students who failed the exam, the number one reason that they fail, in my experience, is that they haven't given themselves enough time to get ready. So if you're at that end of the extreme where you have not done anything, now is the time to get underway. You don't have to do everything today. You don't have to do even a lot, but you have to do a little bit every day. Now, if you start and get underway, what you're going to find is that at this point, you can start to generate and build momentum. Just like a young driver learns confidence, and they're able now, hopefully, to move out onto the interstate or the freeway, and it's not necessarily where they began in their first lesson. So the idea here is to do a little bit to gradually improve and to grow in your studies. If you're one of those people, to go back to our first extreme, who's been focusing on outcomes and results, I think this is also a good time to pull back a little bit and evaluate the work you're doing today. Ask yourself, relative to what you were doing a week ago or 2 weeks ago or a month ago, are you making improvement? If you're in our course, that's one of the things that we're going to try and help you assess. But if you're studying on your own, or God forbid, you're in one of the big box courses, you're going to have to do that as a self-assessment type of technique. So my point is, if you've started studying and you're focused on results, step back a little bit. If you haven't started to study, why not? You need to get going. There's no reason to panic if you begin now, but this is the key. So I want to encourage you, get underway, get out there, start mixing it up, if you will, get into the course of your studies. You'll find that you'll be more confident and you'll get better as you go along, and that will make your studies much, much more productive. If you've been looking too far out on the horizon, bring your focus back in a little bit, bring it back in. And let's work just on the next assignment and the next piece of work, the next piece of reading or the lecture, the next set of multiple choice questions, the next essay. Whatever it might be that's necessary for you so that you can continue to improve and grow, and then ultimately reach the goal in 85 days of having your name on the pass list when the results come. I hope that's helpful to you. I encourage and congratulate all of you who are reaching school milestones this week, and congratulations certainly to everyone who passed the prior bar exam. We're pleased for all of you, and encourage all of you to make some decisions about your studies this week and move forward. Congratulations to everyone. Look forward to seeing you all next week. We'll be back with another message in this series. Have a great week of study, and take care for now. Bye-bye.